I knew something was wrong the moment I saw fresh tire tracks cutting across the back edge of my land. The morning sun hadn't even cleared the cedar line when I stepped onto my porch holding my father's old mug. And for a second, the world felt too quiet. Then I saw them. Survey flags. Dozens of them. A neon-colored army marching straight through the strip of dirt my dad once called the Pride Line. That was the moment I learned my HOA wasn't done ruining my life. They were just getting started. I'm Tom, middle-aged homeowner who worked half his life to get a little space under the open sky. My place sits on the edge of a quiet cul-de-sac with a small pond behind it. An old cedar fence my father built, and a stretch of yard that always felt like home. I'd rock on the porch each morning, listening to the gravel shift under my boots as the breeze ran across the water. Life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Then Karen became board president. You know the type. Tight jaw. Fast blinking. The kind of smile that feels like a warning. She patrolled our street like she was guarding the Pentagon. My trouble started small. A fine for my weathered mailbox. A warning for the improper angle of my trash cans. A citation because a guest parked too close to the curb. I tried to stay calm. I tried to keep my head down. But the fear she used was simple. She wanted control. And she knew homeowners hate conflict more than anything. Then came the letter. A thick, official-looking packet taped to my door while I was working in the garage. It had diagrams, measurements, legal wording, and at the bottom, a claim that shook me like an earthquake. The HOA planned to build 20 brand new houses directly behind mine, and every single patio extended onto what they claimed was their land. I reread the lines, my hands shaking. My land. My father's line. The one he marked the day he planted that cedar. Post with me standing knee-deep in mud. Now they were saying it never belonged to me at all. For a minute, I just stood there listening. To the screen door click in the wind. Then I marched across the street. To the HOA office, Karen greeted me with that stretched, a natural smile of hers. "Tom," she said, "if this is about the construction plans, the board has already voted. It's final." I tried to keep calm. "It shows them building on my property." She blinked fast. "That strip isn't yours. Our updated survey confirms it." Dated. That word hit me like a punch. I pulled out my deed. "I have the original documents." "That land's mine." Her eyes narrowed. "The development begins next month. Move your grill and anything else you've left back there. We won't be liable for damage." I stepped closer. "I'm telling you, there's a mistake." "No, Tom," she said, voice low and sharp. "There isn't." I went home furious. I laid everything on the table. The deed, the map, the county survey, the closing documents. My father's handwriting was still on one of the old notes he left me when he passed. "Never let anyone redraw what you earned." I could almost hear his voice as I ran my finger across the old mud-stained paper. I lawyered up. A real estate attorney named BlakeSharp.com, the kind of guy who didn't blink much. He reviewed everything and said 9 words that gave me hope. "You're right. They're wrong. We can fight this." He filed an injunction to pause construction. Karen lost her mind. Suddenly I was buried in HOA fines. Grass too long. Grass too short. Mailbox not glossy enough. Supposed oil stain on my driveway that wasn't even there. Every day a new letter. Every day a new manufactured problem. She wanted to bleed me dry. Neighbors saw what was happening but kept their distance. Some whispered support, others avoided eye contact. The fear Karen used worked on them too. Losing your home or getting dragged into HOA hell terrifies people, but not me. Not after what Dad taught me. Stand your ground when they expect you to fold. Months. Past depositions, surveys, counter-surveys, HOA drama that felt like a full-time job. Then, one morning I looked out the window and saw something. That made my stomach flip. Bulldozers rolling down the street. They weren't on my land. The injunction protected that. They were tearing into the lots on both sides. Patios poured. Walls framed. Concrete drying in the sun. And every time I looked at those bright new slabs, I noticed something that sent chills down my spine. Their drainage systems and support walls were pushed dangerously close to my boundary, almost touching it. Something didn't feel right. 6 months later, court day arrived. I sat there, clutching Dad's mug in my hands. A weird habit, but it kept me steady. Karen sat across the room looking smug, her jaw tight. Blinking fast like she always did when nervous, the judge reviewed everything, adjusting her glasses as she flipped through each page. Finally, she spoke, based on original governing documents. The property in question does indeed belong to Tom Walker. The HOA's updated survey is inaccurate and unsupported. Karen's face drained of color. The injunction becomes permanent. The HOA will pay all legal fees. I exhaled so hard my chest hurt. We won. Dad would have smiled, but then something happened. Something even my lawyer didn't expect. A week later, we received a letter from the developers, polite, apologetic, worried. They claimed the retaining walls and underground drainage systems of the newly built houses extended several feet onto my land. Not the patios, not the slabs, the foundations. The bones of 20 brand new houses depended on the soil under my feet. I showed Blake. He laughed loud. Tom, you don't just own land now. You own part of the structural support of 20 properties. They cannot legally open or sell a single home without your approval. It hit me slowly. I held all the cards. We met with the HOA, board, and the developer. Karen looked like she hadn't slept in days. The developer looked like he wanted to strangle her. He started the meeting. We need an easement for the retaining wall. We'll pay standard rate. I shook my head. No, Karen snapped. You have to. These houses are ready for families. That's not my problem, I said calmly. You built on my land. The developer swallowed hard. Name your price. I thought of the stress, the fines, the humiliation, the nights staring at Dad's old cedar fence, wondering why people lose their humanity when given a clipboard. My voice was steady. $500,000, I said, and a permanent agreement that I can never be fined again. No citations. No harassment. Karen slammed her fist. That's extortion. Blake leaned back. No, that's justice. The developer signed a check. Karen's hand shook as she signed the agreement. The HOA had fallen, and for the first time in years, I felt peace, but the story didn't end there. 2 years later, a commercial developer contacted the neighborhood. They wanted the entire row behind us for a new shopping center. They needed my strip of land for utility lines. They couldn't do anything without it. We negotiated 4 weeks. I didn't want another lump. I wanted a future. So I proposed something. Bold to 0.5% of the net profit. For the next 20 years, they agreed. We sold the house for triple what we bought it for, plus the revenue stream. Now I live on acres of open land with no HOA in sight, just trees, sky. In Dad's old cedar post, I set in the ground myself. Sometimes the fight you don't want becomes the one that saves you. Sometimes the ground you defend becomes worth more than you ever imagined. And sometimes, the people who try hardest to break you end up building your freedom with their own hands. Stand firm on the dirt that carries your story. If you were in my boots, would you have fought the HOA? Or taken the first payout they offered? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious what you'd do.